So this is the Google Sheets cash flow tracker. There is a pro version that will be coming that will have the like stock portfolio and dividends, and you can track things like this. But this is just for like basic, simple use for an individual, a family, a small business, just to get you on the right track when it comes to tracking your cash flow, hence the name. But you can change the name to whatever you want. Over here, you just say whatever name you want to call it. Right. So we have the date here. We have the current balance here. And current balance is just like your money in minus your money out. And then your fixed costs here, which I'll explain in a little bit. And then your available is just your current balance minus your fixed costs. So what you actually have available to spend once you take care of all your fixed costs. So what's a fixed cost? Fixed costs, I said that so many times. Fixed costs are basically the things you have to pay every month on a specific date. So we're talking like rent, water, electricity, loans, things like that. So in this spreadsheet, you can just put them in and you'll be able to mark like, oh, I've paid this. It lets you know when it's due tomorrow, due today, due this week, and also when you're overdue. And as you can see, when we untick, it changes the amount that we have to pay for our fixed costs and also the amount we have available. Then we have our savings, right? You know what savings are. If you're using this, it's something that you really want to focus on. And I give you two types of savings. I give you your actual savings and I give you like a wish list savings. And the difference between savings and wish list savings is that savings are like your wealth building savings. So things you're saving for long term. So a house, lol, a car down payment, you know, things like that, things that will take like a couple of years to save up for. And then your wish list savings are like things that you want. You're like PS5, going on a vacation, an exercise bike, that will go into your wish list savings. And what I find really cool is that when you've saved more than 50% of the total cost, which is the actual cost of the thing, and things like delivery and shit like that, you get a notification that says, oh, you're so close. And then when you've saved 100%, it's like, oh, buy now. And then when you actually record that you've bought it, it gets off the notification center on your dashboard. So you always know, you know, how close you are to getting your things. And then we have debt. So you have your total amount of debt you're owing on the left-hand side. And then we have a debt tracker, this graph here in the middle. And what this graph is showing you is that the black is the starting balance, like what you owed overall. And then the green is how much you have left to go. So the smaller the green gets, the closer you are to reaching that zero goal, right? And then we have credit score, and that will be dealt with in the debt. There's just a cell where you can just enter what your credit score is, because God knows how they calculate that shit. All right. I'm a sucker for links. So this is, you can see how there's links everywhere. Like if something is underlined, it is most probably, most definitely a link to go somewhere, right? So we're going to start from the beginning. This is what you see when you download the tracker. I will remove most of the dummy data so that it's just easier for you to fill in, right? But yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so you have just downloaded my cash flow tracker for Google Sheets. Congratulations and thank you. And here is your download link. So you just click on that, open it in whatever browser you want, make a copy, and depending on how fast your internet is, it will open up in 3, 2, 1. Great. And you see it says copy of cash flow tracker. You can change that to whatever you want. Cash flow tracker, get it together, whatever floats your boat, it's yours to personalize. And yeah, here it is. Let's get into how to actually use this thing. So the first sheet you have to deal with is your data center. And what this sheet does is give you the drop-down options throughout the sheet. So you have to fill in this first. This is where the options come from, right? So the months are filled in already. Unless you speak another language or prefer to see another language, you can change those up. The B column is where you will put your banks and credit providers. C column is the fees associated with each one of them. And then you have your budgets or expenses, right? And you put those, like whatever you're budgeting, whatever your expenses, like try to create a group for them. So house would be things like when you buy cleaning supplies, or if you prefer groceries. I prefer to see groceries in a different section, so I grouped them as their own thing, right? And then work, things like when you buy work clothes or things like that, so find a way to group that works for you, to group your budgets. And then you have your income sources. I think that speaks for itself. Your incomes. A lot of people these days have more than one stream of income. It's okay to have one, whichever one. I just try to think like what it is that people are most likely to have. And then your credit accounts. This is for your debt tracker because it helps to have more than one type of credit, and you'll be able to pick which type of credit your debt is based off of these options in the relevant drop down. And then you have your debt, so the loans, your credit card, whatever goes in here. And then you have your savings. Again, these are the long-term savings, so your emergency savings, your tax-free savings, your high interest savings, maintenance, retirement, down payment, those type of long-term savings. And then your wish list is your things that you're planning to buy within the year. So like an exercise bike, PS5, you get the picture, right? Cool. And again, we have those. If something is underlined, it is most likely a link to take you somewhere quicker, right? So after that, we go to fixed costs. This is one of my favorite features. I'm going to say that about every sheet because I made this and I love it, right? But this is truly one of my favorites. It just shows you like what you have to pay each month on a specific date, right? So like rent, water, electricity, etc. And then I also have these two graphs. So this graph, the one on top, shows you how much of your income is dedicated to monthly fixed costs. So how much are you spending on fixed costs, right? And then this second graph shows you like of this amount, the month you're paying for fixed costs, how much goes to each. So how big is your house? Well, how big of a share does house take up in your fixed costs, debt, etc, right? You can remove graphs if you don't like them. You just press this and then you just delete chart and that's gone. So you can still personalize this to what suits you, right? So when you're putting in a fixed cost, you pick a drop down, which is those budgets / expenses, right? And I say like groceries, and item I can write buy fresh. Like I have a subscription and it helps me, they bring me fresh produce if I pay like a specific amount each month, let's say like $50, right? And then the due date for this would be the 28th of every month. And then when I press OK, you see how it's already filled up that it's going to happen on Wednesday, the 28th of February. The 28th of February is a Wednesday and it's also due tomorrow, right? Perfect. So that's how you fill in fixed cost things. And then it also shows up here in the graph that shows you the share of fixed costs. Then we go to dashboard and we can see that fixed cost is there. They show me the item. So like, buy fresh, it's due tomorrow. And if I pay it, it's like paid, and then my fixed costs go down, right? I forgot to mention that once you enter a new month, you need to uncheck every single fixed cost so that it can bring in the new notifications for the new month. You don't have to re-enter the dates in the fixed cost sheets. The date you've entered applies to every single month of the year. All you have to do in dashboard is, it's a new month now, and then I uncheck every single one that I have not paid yet. And then you'll start getting your notifications again of due today, due tomorrow, due this week. Yeah. When you're on your dashboard and you press main transactions, it takes you to the place where you actually input transactions, because I'm sure we all prefer just to go quickly there. But I want to talk about the summary first, right? So this is your transaction summary. And It has the same kind of layout with quick information on the left hand side, and then it shows you like income overview, expenses overview, your savings transfers, your wishlist transfers, right? And then this button takes you to where you input your transactions. Okay, so let's start with the left hand side. Available is the same as available on the dashboard. We have current balance minus your fixed costs, and that shows you like how much you have available to spend. And you also have your savings here, and then how much you have in your wish list, and then your debt here as well. Your income overview, you pick from the drop down what income you what category of income it falls under, and then the amount is calculated in the transaction sheet, so you don't have to put in anything here. And you can tell because when you click on the cell, there's the formula, so that is automatically updated for you. And then the savings transfers is basically any money that you put into your savings is added here. Any money you take from your savings into your income is put here. And then the currently saved is the difference between two savings and from savings, right? And then your wishlist transfers are the same things: to wishlist, from wishlist. Money you put to your wishlist is here. Money you bring from your wishlist into your income is here. And your currently saved would be the difference between the two. Then we go to expenses, right? You pick from the drop down of your budget / expenses, and then you set a monthly budget. So let's pick what don't I have here? Work. All right, and already you can see that this will automatically be updated from the transactions that we're actually going to input. So my monthly budget for work stuff, let's say, is like $200 for like lunch, right? So that's there. And then now what this is, so that gets added to my monthly budget here, which is displayed on the graph in my dashboard. So when we have our work expense, this is how much we wish to spend. How much we actually spent is calculated by the formula, so we don't have to input any data here. And also our share of income goal. This is another favorite feature of mine, right? So basically it takes your monthly budget and calculates from your income, your total income, what your goal share should be. So I only want to spend about 2% of my income on my work expense, right? And then actual share of income that will be calculated when I actually put in the data on the other side of how much I actually spent. Then it shows me, oh, you wanted to spend 2%, but you actually spent about 5% of your income on this particular expense. And this helps you kind of see like, okay, am I actually able to reach my goal? What does this goal actually mean? When I look at my income as a pie, as a full pie, how much of my pie is going to this specific place, and is it reasonable? So the fact that my house expense is about 37% of my income goal is reasonable. It's a bit high. People say you should have it at 30%. People are joking. So the goal is 37, but I'm actually doing 36. So that means that I'm doing better than I'd set out to. So it just helps you kind of like see the numbers in a different way so that you can kind of change the way how you plan around your savings and transactions and things like that. It's also for things like when you're saving for fun and you see how much money you're actually spending on fun, and could you reduce that and put it to savings, or how much money you're putting on savings and could you reduce that and put it into fun because you need to live a little to make it through, right? Okay, so now when we want to go to actually input our transactions, we just go here and we press this. And here is this fun page, right? Where we have the date, category, type, money in, money out, and a note, right? I also have this useful link where if you click on this, it will take you to the closest blank space, because it is going to get very frustrating having to scroll through this big spreadsheet, depending on how long you're planning on keeping it, hopefully forever, right? Or until I upgrade. So this is how you fill in your main transaction. The first thing you do is pick the date the transaction happened. So I'm going to say tomorrow, right? And then you pick the category of transaction. Was it income, expense, savings, debt, or wish list? I'm going to go with income to start. And then I wait for this blue bar to finish loading, because that will load the types that I can pick from, right? So I go down and I'm like, okay, let's say it's from AdSense, and the money in is, since it's income, is $100. Cool. And then I can add a note and say, I got it from YouTube, right? Now that that's in, it's automatically going to, if I want to see it's been recorded, I can go here and I can see that I haven't put the category of income here, so it's not going to show up. So I actually have to go and say AdSense, and there you see, it shows up. Cool. So let's go back to transactions. Nice. And then we go back to the blank. Perfect. And now let's do another type. So we do expense, and then you wait for that blue bar to finish loading so that your types can show up. And then we click on the drop down, and let's say it is family. And since it's an expense, expenses are always a money out, right? So let's say $50, and let's say gift, right? And that will be recorded. So then we go back to summary to see if that's there. Again, you don't see it because I haven't put that category here. So then I go and I click family, and voila, there it is. I hadn't exactly put a budget, a monthly budget. So I'm going to put it at, I don't know, 100. And I can see my share of income and my actual share, my share of income goal and my actual share of income, right? So now that you've seen how income and expenses are recorded on main transactions, to get a better idea of how debt, savings, and wish lists are recorded, we have to go and see those sheets first. So let's start with debt, because that's a bit easier to understand. So this is your debt sheet, right? You can also access it from your to debt summary. Great. So this is your debt sheet. It's pretty straightforward. Let me just underline all these for you so you know they are links. Great. Pretty straightforward. You have your credit score here that you manually input over here, depending on the month that you check your credit score. You can put your credit score in there, and then depending on the month, it will fill it in automatically, which will automatically fill it in your dashboard as well. All right. So total minimum monthly payments is $1,270, right? That's the minimum amount I have to pay every month for all of my debts, right? And then we have the total debt amount, which just adds up everything that my current balance is. And then your highest debt, just so you know which one you should be giving your most attention to pay it off the quickest and just reduce that pressure. And then number of debts paid off is recorded when you click complete the debt. It lets you know like, oh, you're doing good, you're doing great. And then since those aren't complete, and then your credit score determinants. This is just to help you understand like how credit score is calculated. Again, they keep the formula pretty like airtight, so we don't actually know how it's calculated, but these are the ratios of what matters most. So the most thing that matters is payment history, followed by the total amount you owe. So you can put that information here. You can put your payment history there. Your length of history is about 15%, and you can put that in here. Your new credit, like when you take out new credit, that helps your credit score as well. So you put that in there. And then your credit mix is the different types of credit accounts you have. So when I change these, you see that it's 3 now. And if I change all of these to installment credit accounts, you see that it's only 1 now. So having a good credit mix helps your credit score, right? Cool. So then here you pick your provider or your bank based off of that column in data center. And then here is your credit account. So you pick whatever credit account it is. And then here is the debt that again is filled in the data center. And then here you fill in like what the interest is, what your minimum monthly payment is, and what your starting balance is, right? And then from then on, everything else is automatically calculated. All right. So let's take the the student loan debt as an example, right? My minimum monthly payment is $300 and my current balance is $39,000 $400, right? So let's say I just want a nice round number, so I'm gonna pay $400 of my student loan debt. So I go to my transactions, right? And I say, oh, I jump to blank because I'm not scrolling through all that. So then I go here and I'm like, all right, debt, right? I wait for that little blue line to finish. As you can see, there's no options until that blue line finishes. Okay, it's done loading, and I say student. So when I'm paying money, I'm taking money out of my income. So then the money I'm taking out of my income is $400, right? Perfect. And then when we go back to debt, we see that it has gone down from 39,400 to 39,000 on the dot. So it's pretty much automated based on jump to blank based on the inputs that you put in your main transactions page, so you don't have to think about it too much. So that's how you record your debt payments. Great. Now let's go to savings, which is a little bit trickier, but you're smart, so you'll get it. So let's go to the savings sheet and look at it, right? That's not the month. This is the month. All right. So like I said, you have two different types of savings. You have your wealth building savings and your wishlist savings. So let's start explaining this sheet from the left hand side, right? So you can pick to see like on a specific month how much you saved, how much you took out, things like that. How much interest you got. It'll be, if you want specific month details, you just pick the month here and it lets you know, right? And then your total money in savings is just all the money that you saved in this particular group, the wealth building savings group, right? And then we have a compound interest calculator here so that you can just better calculate your savings goals, right? So you're like, oh, if I put in 10,000, this is user input. So you're like, if I save 10,000 at an interest rate of 8% and it compounds every year for like 10 years, by the end of 10 years, I'll have 21,000, right? So then I'm like, okay, so my goal is 10,000 in my emergency, right? So yeah, just to help you manage your things easier. So here on the available, this is related to the wish list savings, right? This is how much you have that you can spend, how much you have saved in here, right? The items board is just counts when these check boxes are checked. And then the total money spent just counts the amount you've taken out of your wish list, not necessarily what you have bought. But if you take money out just to, you're having a tough month and you need some money out, it also counts as money spent from your wish list because you've taken it out of your wish list savings, right? Perfect. So you pick what you want to save for. Okay, I don't have an option. So Apple Vision Pro, and then you put the link or the shop where you're supposed to buy it, and then the total cost. So this is the actual cost, the delivery, every other little things you want to buy. And then the amount saved is calculated from your main transactions, which I will show you how to do that now. And then your progress is recorded automatically. And then this, like I said, once you pass 50% of the total cost savings goal, it says so close. Once you reach 100% saved, it says buy now. And then after you buy it, it says got it. So from this little example, we see that we have saved enough for a PS5, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to buy my PS5 now. Great. So I go to transactions, right? I jump to blank. So now I'm ready to buy my PS5, right? So I enter the date and then category, I say wish list, right? Because the PS5 is in my wish list. I wait for that little blue line to go away. It's gone now. So when I press down, PS5 is ready to go, right? So I am taking money out of my wish list savings and putting it in to my main income place. So this is money in, right? So money in is 600, right? So then we go and we check the savings to see what happens, and you can see that all that money is out of here, right? So we haven't finished recording, we just have recorded that this money has been removed from saved. Now that we have the money in our savings, we actually need to buy the PlayStation. So again, I go here, and since I'm buying now, it's no longer a wish list, it's expense, right? Because I am buying it, it is an expense now. And the type, let's say it's for fun. And the money out, because I'm taking money out of my main money and taking it out and paying whoever is giving me this PS5, and it's the total amount $600, right? And then I say here PS5. I make a note to say this is the fun I spent on. I bought a PS5. Great. And then I have officially recorded taking money from my Wishlist account into my main money account, and then from my main money account I have bought the PS5. So after I'm done doing that, I go to my savings, and then I let it know that okay, we have bought this and it is recorded. Perfect. And we can see that it is cancelled over here because you got it, so it doesn't need to track it anymore. And when we go to dashboard, you can see it's gone as it was there in the beginning, right? And that's it. That's all you have to do when you're recording your savings. The other savings, the main savings, works the same as your debt. So you just go there and you say savings, you wait for the blue line, and once it's gone, you say tax-free savings, and then you put the money, you're taking money out of your main money and putting it somewhere else, right? So you're taking money out. So then you're putting in $30. And then when you go to your savings, you see it is $430. It's saved now, so you don't have to do any transactions here. This page is mostly auto updated. The only thing you have to do is from the drop down, pick what you're saving for, and that drop down is determined by the information from the data center. So just so you can see it again, your savings, your long-term savings, this is where you put that information, and then your short-term savings or your fund savings, this is where you put that information. And yeah, this is the whole spreadsheet. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, but I actually hope you learned something and that it's much easier to use now. If you have any suggestions, any comments, you can put them in the link below, or you can email me at rue@prettyfunctional.com and I will respond to your emails. You can check out my other spreadsheets. I have spreadsheets for school mostly. And like I said, the CashFlow Tracker Pro will be out soon. And the difference between this one and the Pro is that the Pro focuses more on stocks and assets and things like that. So you can actually track how your assets are doing, right? So yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks for getting my spreadsheet. See you when I make a new one.